Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video regarding uh, the 5G technology and influence of electromagnetic fields and energies on the human health. Um, the main thing I'd like to say is that for all of my life, I've been very sensitive energetically and capable of feeling energy, healing with energy, and I've studied from some of the top masters from Tibet, Nepal, China, and Japan. Um, and when the 3G was rolled out many years ago, I noticed that already at the time, this technology actually was making me sick. That means I was picking up the energy from the cell phones that was so strong for me that I sometimes would not be able to even hold the phone. Later on, I noticed that certain phones were better, like iPhone compared to Samsung. The energy being emitted by the phone was a lot safer for me in particular. I experimented with several different things over the years to protect myself from the harmful effects of electromagnetic force fields and also from the frequencies, microwave frequencies emitted by the cell towers and cell phones. And I found a few things along the way that could you guys could use. One thing you can get is it's called Q-Link. I'll write it on the side here. Q-Link. I found this device. It's a very simple pendant, um, and it tends to protect the body from EMF quite effectively. The another pendant that I found uh, was called Aries Industries. Aries Industries uh, pendant. This pendant I found even more powerful than the Q-Link, and I also what I do is I use a sheet that's made of. I have it here actually. I'm going to show you guys. This sheet is, you can see here. This is a sheet that's made of cotton, copper, uh, and I think copper and some other type of metal as well. And this sheet actually protects my body from EMF, electromagnetic fields, and micro radiation. I use it when I travel, I use it when I sleep, and I have to say that my sleep quality just with this kind of material has improved drastically. I would say it's almost equivalent to sleeping in nature. If you've ever slept outdoors while camping, you can probably see the difference between sleeping indoors in a city and sleeping outdoors in nature. So going back to my point about 3G, when the 3G was rolled out a number of years ago, I already started noticing that it was causing my body to go tight, make me feel very uncomfortable. I was getting dizzy. And I remember one time uh, I was exposed to Samsung phone operating on 3G. And it made me so sick, actually. I felt like vomiting unless I think it's safe. It's harmless and all this stuff. And yet they're not making, they're, in my frank opinion, based on my first using one cell phone at a time, we are in today's times, we are literally walking in a soup of cell phone, high levels of frequencies that are harmful to our cellular functioning, which can cause not only tumors in our body and cancer, but also can disrupt our sleep, cause us to become mentally and emotionally unstable. So when the 4G was rolled out, I actually never turn my phone to 4G. I always kept my phone, even though my current phone is the latest of the iPhones. I would say that I still use 3G and it works quite well for me. And but I did notice that 4G was already quite harmful. And now with this new 5G that's being rolled out, the 5G, from what I found out, it was used during World War II on the radars. And this technology can actually be used for dispersing crowds. It can also penetrate through the body a lot more effectively, causing the body imbalance on the neurological and cellular level, as well as DNA levels, because it's a type of a frequency, and it's a form of radiation. We all know that exposure to X-rays is quite harmful. So why should 5G, being also this sort of technology that uses forms of radiation frequencies, be considered safe? And yet, if we do check up on the information, currently there is no actual study showing that 5G technology or even 4G or 3G is actually safe. Many times, if you do read in small writing when you get a new phone, it says that the 3G, that this type of technology can cause cancer. It's in small letters. It's usually, most people don't read this stuff, and especially people holding phones close to their groin, in their pockets, next to their women who have pockets in their chest. They put the phone in, and then they found they get tumors in their breasts. For example, people in Australia, they found several years ago, they've done a study where people who used cell phones next to their head, for including Bluetooth, by the way, for about half an hour per day for about 10 years, were pretty much guaranteed to have a brain tumor. And this is quite interesting because a lot of people seem to ignore this. And yet, I don't think too many people would like to put their head in a microwave, right? That's basically what people do to themselves when they put the phone next to their groin, to the reproductive organs, when they put it next to their ear or on their chest. Several years ago, I have a friend, actually. I will not mention her name, but she was pregnant at the time, and it's very interesting because she would put the phone on her belly every time she would receive a treatment. And as her therapist, I would always tell her, "Don't put the phone on your belly. It's not safe for you." And she would always say, "Oh, you're talking crazy stuff, this and that," and she would literally ignore my advice. And interestingly enough, when her baby was born with number of very severe deformities and defects, such as the heart wasn't closed properly, the diaphragm wasn't closed properly, all the organs were pushing upward. This kid was born hydrocephalic, many health issues. It's incredible, a tragedy in my opinion, because this kid will most likely for the rest of his life live pretty much with number of deformities, and which can compromise his health. So there is so much proof out there, and the people like myself who are very sensitive energetically, I would actually ask you guys, post this video, share it with other people, and I would say anybody who is sensitive to energy, to cell phone energy, or notices that somehow when you have your router turned on at night, you can't sleep well, your mind is very active, share it on my YouTube channel, share it here in the link in the comments, and share your story, how you feel about when you use a cell phone, when or when you have your router turned on in your house. Do you get any headaches? Do you feel tired? Do you feel more stiff in your body? what do you feel? And this is the important thing, because I believe that we, the people, we need to get the information together as an evidence, because we obviously know that the telecom companies out there are not interested in listening to the public. They just want to supposedly make their big bucks. I don't believe it's about money, unfortunately. I think it's going toward having artificial intelligence so interconnected in everyone's household that we live in a literally in a cybernetic world that's pulled over our eyes. And this type of technology can be also used for other potentially harmful reasons to us and our health. One of those, for example, I would suppose is if we are exposed to these types of technology for too long, I believe that this technology could cause massive levels of infertility, because it could damage the sperm cells and also the egg cells in women. So sperm cells in men and egg cells in women, right? So there is definitely a lot of proof already that even 3G was capable of doing that. So now with 5G being much, much more powerful, people putting their phones in their lap or their iPads or their laptops, they're going to be frying themselves up and basically sterilizing themselves. So I think we need to know this. We need to be aware of the dangers, and we need to share with each other what our experience is, and share it with more and more people. Make it viral all over the social media, so that people need to start to see the connections. Because otherwise, this 5G, for example, there is again, it was developed during World War II as a radar technology, and it is weaponized as well. So this is a problem, mainly because it is not tested for safety, and there is no actual evidence that it is actually safe that they can provide to us. When I was in China and in Qatar, they already have 5G there, and I noticed again, yes, that actually my sleep wasn't that good, and every time I used this blanket that I already showed, I actually slept a lot better. But I don't think it's a good idea to be living in an environment which is like a soup of all kinds of frequencies that are damaging our DNA, our RNA, are destabilizing our cellular function and the cellular membrane function. Many sources claim that that 5G actually will interfere with the body's ability to absorb oxygen and iodine, which is really serious, because oxygen is one of the most important elements for energy production in the mitochondria. So what happens is, if we cannot absorb oxygen properly because of this technology, and including iodine, not only we will develop issues with our thyroid, parathyroid, our adrenal endocrine system, but also we are going to have problems with our immune systems, because excuse me, because what happens is, the iodine and the oxygen, they're very important for the immunity, and we are already actually deficient in iodine in most people's cases, and selenium as well. In my other video, I talked about selenium. Our soil, because it's so much sprayed with pesticides and all kinds of toxic substances, we are losing vital minerals like selenium, magnesium, manganese, silica, what else? Copper. There's so many minerals that are being leached out of the soil that are very vital to our immunity. And I mentioned before, we cannot get sick unless our immune system is compromised. And this whole thing now with the coronavirus, which is, by the way, corona is a virus, is a family of viruses that cause flu-like symptoms. And interestingly enough, in my practice over a number of years, I noticed many people every year we have flu, and I noticed that during just around December, November, December, there's some pretty aggressive types of pulmonary or lung types of diseases. And I noticed that for the last, in particular, 2018, 2019, 2018 was actually quite severe flu at the time, lung pulmonary flu. No one was talking about it, interestingly enough. And this year, there were cases of pulmonary infections, really serious problems since November as well, in North America included. Even before the whole thing with China, Wuhan, started to get talked about, and lots of people presented with COVID-19 type of symptoms. So that's something that's very interesting. Some people are saying that this whole thing is linked between 5G and the virus. It could be, potentially. I mean, if the 5G weakens our immune system, that means we become much more susceptible to regular flus. And that means that we become, you know, if our body is not able to process or utilize oxygen properly, how is it going to produce sufficient amount of energy to protect itself from anything, any kind of pathogen, viral, bacterial, or even environmental? Because we need oxygen in the body. And so my thing about 5G, please share your experience about your, how you feel when you use your phone, or if you're close to a router, when you sleep in a place with a router. Do you have a good sleep? Are you restless? Are you having any headaches, tensions in your body? Do you wake up tired the following day? Is your mind overly active? This is very important. We need to share this, and because I believe that we the people, we need to start talking and say no to certain things, because I feel that we are in times where a lot of things looks like there are powers that be are trying to force down our throat without asking us for our consent, and without ensuring safety. And that is the big problem. So share with me, please, what your experiences. Talk to your friends, ask them for their opinion, share the stories, and let's make it viral. Let's get the whole planet to talk about this, about how people feel affected. And I'm pretty sure that if I'm one person who feels the way I do, I am very sure that there is more people like myself. So I wish you all the best of health, and stay well and safe, and share with your friends, and write me a comment. Have a very good night. Take care.